today's video, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest problems that most freelancers and coaches face, and it's that feast or famine cycle where some months you make good money, other months you make almost no money, and you're in this frustrating loop of inconsistent income. And so most people think that having inconsistent income is just par for the course. It's just part of being a freelancer or a coach, but this is not true at all. So the feast or famine cycle is optional. You can actually escape if you have the right strategies. And I'm going to show you exactly how to escape that cycle in today's video. I know this works because I've made $2 million online teaching a lot of these principles, and I've helped clients who are going through these exact same cycles consistently hit $10,000 a month or more every single month using exactly what I'm going to tell you. If you're a freelancer, have you ever just gone through and filled out job board proposals or went on Upwork or went on these different websites to sort of submit pitches? Or if you're a coach, have you just gone onto LinkedIn and just put a request for services page where people can go and book appointments with you, or going through some of those features on those apps to kind of get clients? Well, the reason why most freelancers and coaches are stuck in a feast or famine cycle is because they have a passive approach to lead generation. So when I say a passive approach to lead generation, they quite literally wait for money to fall into their lap, or they only use those sort of job work or job board, Upwork sort of areas to go find clients. And so if you want to start making more money and getting more business, you need to learn how to do outbound marketing. You need to learn how to proactively reach out to and find people to work with. The vast majority of freelancers, quote unquote freelancers, quite literally do zero lead generation, and they wonder why they're broke. They're just waiting for money to fall into their lap. So I'll tell you a real example, a real story. This actually happened to me a couple weeks ago. So I was talking to a freelancer, right? Because I have a coaching program that helps freelancers and coaches and make money. And so I was reaching out about working together, and she said, actually, I'd love to work with you, Ayo, but I don't have the money right now, right? So maybe if I sign a couple clients, I can come back to you later when I have the money. I'm like, perfect. And she's like, what advice do you have for me? I said, well, here's what you should do. I said, you should go find companies that you want to work with, and you should send customized pitches to each one of those companies, and you should do it 100 times a day. Mind you, this person is broke, and they kind of gave me the look like, oh, well, it kind of sounds like a lot of work. Like, that's how most people think and it's how they operate. I'm poor, but doing outreach kind of sounds like a lot of work, right? So if you want to not be poor, and if you want to actually build a business where leads are coming into your business, you have to go find these people. You have to have an active approach when it comes to lead generation. And it's the number one thing that's going to explode your business, because the kind of clients that you find doing your own outreach are usually way better, and they pay way more than what you'll find on your typical job board. Most people who post on job boards or Upwork, they're looking for cheap, commoditized labor sort of skills, right? Also, when you're on Upwork, Fiverr, these other places, you're competing with people all over the world who are willing to work for less money than you. And so there is a game theory principle. It's called race to the bottom principle. So if you're in a marketplace where people are continually underbidding each other, eventually you're going to erode the price of that labor to basically nothing. And that's what you see happen a lot on these freelancer platforms. If instead you go find companies who aren't actively posting, but you do have customized pitches towards them that demonstrate that you're able to help them make a lot more money, or if you're a coach and you're creating content about how you solve a specific problem, and then you're reaching out to people in your audience who engage with you, and you're identifying the 10% of your audience that's willing to pay you 10 times the amount of money as everyone else. This is how you can actually generate money predictably and with some level of control, right? So you can't control who's going to sign, but you can make sure that if you're actively doing outbound marketing and lead generation, that you always have somewhere to look where you can go find clients. So there is no such thing as a lack of leads. There's no such thing as a lack of leads, because you have social media platforms with millions of users, thousands of businesses, and you can create content and proactively reach out to these businesses to make money. So you have to learn outbound marketing if you want to get out of the feast or famine cycle, and you have to stop waiting for deals to fall into your lap. And so once you understand that, you need to also understand this next part, because if you get this wrong, it's going to actually be harmful to your lead generation activities. And it's something I see a lot of freelancers and coaches who are online trying to build personal brands. I see them do it all the time time, and it's a massive mistake that's actually costing you money. And so the average freelancer or coach spends 7 to 10 hours per week creating content that actively repels their dream clients away from them. You heard that right. The content that they're posting makes their dream clients not want to work with them. Prime example. I don't know why. It seems like it's like a disease of the mind that you see a lot of freelancers have, where instead of posting content about the problems that business owners are having that their freelance projects or work will solve, they write content for other freelancers. They give advice on how to be a better freelancer, or they give advice about the mechanics of the thing that they're doing as a freelancer versus the problems it solves. So for example, if you are a copywriter, you shouldn't be giving tips on how to write good copy. You should be giving tips on how copywriting is going to help businesses get more leads and get more sales. You want to create content about the problems that the businesses are facing. So for example, you might create a piece of content about you're putting out content, but your message isn't resonating with the people who are your buyers. And so until you fix your messaging, you're not gonna be able to make more money. And so that's something that a business owner would resonate with. They're not gonna resonate with how to write a problem agitate solution opener. Like they're not interested in understanding the inner mechanics of copywriting. They just want to make more money. And so if you could talk about the problems that are affecting their bottom line and you insert, let's say, copywriting as a solution, you're going to get clients. I actually had a client who was like this. He was a designer and he kept posting content for other designers. He kept posting design tips. He kept talking about the particularities of how to make a bento. I don't know what a bento is, or all these different buttons and all these different things. And I was like, dude, you need to start creating content for businesses so that they hire you as a designer. And so I told him to do things like this: create an infographic that is something like the anatomy of a high converting website. And then you show the design, but then you show how the different aspects of the design drive leads and sales. That's gonna attract business owners. I told him to start doing spec designs of other businesses on their behalf and tagging them in it. He started doing that as well. I told him, instead of writing threads about how to design better, write a thread about how to get more leads on your website with design changes that you make. And so it took this guy, it was a kid, he's a 17-year-old kid. It took him about 9 months of it not working for him to finally switch. And he was stuck at like $1,000 a month. Literally 3 months after he started making content for other clients, he got up to 20 grand a month. And that just goes to show how powerful it is to actually create content for your clients instead of your peers. So creating for your peers instead of your clients is one of the biggest mistakes I see online. And if you simply switch that, you will start to make a lot more money. So now that you understand that you need to do outbound marketing, and now that you understand how to create content the right way to attract leads, let's talk about the strategy that you can use to start signing a lot more clients and get out of the feast and famine cycle for good. So you're gonna do 2 things. You're gonna use the words to dollars content model, and then you're gonna use the sniper outreach method. So we're gonna talk about both of these and how they work in tandem together. So the words to dollars model, I talk about it a lot. It's where you're gonna create client-focused content that's focused on the things that they're going through that they want to get solved in exchange for money. And you're going to create offer-based content, meaning you're going to create content that is attached to pain points that lead to people wanting to buy your offer. So you don't pick random problems, you pick problems associated with what you're actually selling. Then you're going to reach out to warm leads, right? So there's people who already engage with your content. That's called a warm lead. They know who you are. And then you reach out to them and you begin to have a conversation related to whatever they engage with. So if they engage with a piece of content about a specific problem, you can say, hey, I noticed you like this piece of content about this problem. Are you having this problem? More often than not, they'll say yes, and then you'll continue to probe for that problem until you can get them on a sales call and close. So that's a very cliff note of the words to dollars method. You create content to attract clients. You have conversations with those people about their problems, and then you turn them into clients, right? So that is what I teach my clients to do primarily, right? So we focus a lot on warm traffic. We don't do a lot of cold outreach, but the sniper method is a way to use cold outreach in a way that's very targeted, and that does lead to getting clients. So the sniper outreach method is where you're going to create a list of really high quality clients that you'd like to work with. And what you're going to do is you're going to send them very customized pitches that are uniquely tailored to them, and you're gonna do it in a way that's gonna wanna get them to take a look. So for example, I'm gonna give you an example of a sniper outreach method that worked on me. So there's this guy, he reaches out to me and I have no idea who he is, but he says, hey Ayo, I noticed that you tried to do a little bit of stuff on your Instagram. I actually put together this entire document, a comprehensive strategy on how we're gonna grow your Instagram. And he put it in a Google Doc link. So contrast that with the normal cold outreach approach where I get a lot where someone's like, hey, I can do Instagram for you. It's like, I don't know you. I don't know if you can get the results. So therefore I'm not gonna talk to you. But since he took the upfront time and investment to come together with a strategy, I'm at least gonna look at it, right? So it opened a curiosity loop in my head. It's like, okay, who put together this strategy? What is this strategy? Then I opened the document and it wasn't some BS document. It was a legit Instagram marketing strategy that laid out, like he had the target market that I was gonna work with. He said, oh, you're targeting people at a certain awareness level. You should target them at this awareness level, right? Most unsophisticated marketers don't know what awareness levels are. So even him having those different things in his documents, like, okay, this seems like somebody who knows what they're doing. So a complete stranger did a sniper shot at me, hit the mark. I ended up signing him to work with me. And so there's a lot of things you can do like this. You can put together strategies for people before they've given you money and actually put some skin in the game and, God forbid, invest time and energy into doing something that may or may not pay off. You can record videos on Loom talking about how you'll implement strategies in their business. You can take time to watch a 3-hour podcast episode they did and clip up some of the pieces of the podcast into audio reels overlaid over images and send it to them and post on their Instagram, right? So there's a lot of examples of these sniper shots that you can do. And so that warm outreach approach combined with the sniper shot approach is how you're gonna get out of the feast or famine cycle for good. And so the moral of the story in general is that you need to have a much more outward facing, proactive, effort-based approach to your marketing. I'm not going to tell you that you are going to build a business without work. I'm not gonna tell you that you're gonna build a business completely built on inbound leads because I don't believe that's the best way to build your business. I think that if you want to make money fast, you should move out into the world and go find people who you can work with, who you can solve problems for, that will give you the money to solve those problems. And then in the long run, you never want to turn the lead machine off. You want to keep working leads every single day. So I tell my clients that they should send at least 25 outreach messages every single day, and they should be creating a piece of content once per day, and that they should be performing these activities nonstop, even when they are full with their client roster where they have a lot of work. It's because, again, we're talking about the feast or famine cycle, right? So what often happens that creates a famine is when you're feasting, you get full and you don't think you need to go out there and hunt anymore, but you always need to be hunting. You always need to be looking for clients. And if you're having trouble servicing the clients you need to get better as an entrepreneur and find a way to service more clients. That's something I help my clients with as well. When they hit one-on-one capacity, we transition them into a group. We actually build out all their systems for them. We build out their backends for them. We actually put together the tech, everything. And so that's the power of working with people who know how to facilitate that transformation. But your goal should never be to stop generating leads because you have too much capacity. You should be thinking about how you can increase your capacity so that you can continue to handle the leads. And so that is the way that you're going to build a business where you're never going to have to worry about leads because you're always working them. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how the words to dollars model works, I actually created an entire video that talks about the words to dollars model in full. And so if you want more nuance and get some of the nuts and bolts strategy for how to get that system to work, check out this video that's on the screen right now and learn how to implement this model into your business ASAP.